me ask you guys a question. Who do you think is the most watched cable news host among liberals? Rachel Maddow? Nicole Wallace? Well, no, it must be Brian Stelter or Joy Reid, right? Nope. Fox News' Tucker Carlson is the #1 watched host among Democrats aged 25 to 54. The Fox News host got 42% of Democrats aged 25 to 54, while CNN just got 33% and MSNBC at only 25%. Carlson took the top spot among Democrats in the demo across all cable news shows and ranked third among Dems in total viewership. Just unbelievable. Sean Hannity and Greg Gutfeld round out the top 5 with 81,000 and 73,000 Democrats in the demo, respectively. And in terms of total viewers, Fox has 3 of the top 5 shows watched by Democrats. 3 of the top 5 watched by Democrats, while MSNBC has the other 2. So CNN didn't even get any, none of their shows are top amongst Democrats. I mean, unbelievable that Fox News would beat out both CNN and MSNBC. The same data shows that the top 5 most watched programs among independents are all on Fox. So independents prefer Fox, Democrats prefer Fox. The 5 shows watched by independents are Tucker Carlson, The 5, Hannity, Special Report with Bret Baier, and the Ingram Angle, which is interesting. I now consider myself more of an independent, of course, because I think, I don't have a political box that I necessarily fit in. And I will say I do tend to tune into Fox News a bit more than CNN and MSNBC. I think, I actually spend a pretty equal amount of time, but I watch CNN and MSNBC and I get angry most of the time. When I watch The 5, I enjoy The 5. I think that is a really fun show, and I like that they have various different perspectives. Tucker Carlson, I watch his monologue every day, and I also enjoy it. I don't agree with him a lot of the time, but I think he makes some really good points. I never watch Hannity, I have to say. Special Report with Bret Baier, I do watch that from time to time when I just want to get the news, and I never watch the Ingram Angle. So I think that's interesting, though, that the top 5 most watched shows by independents are those 5. I would have kind of thought maybe something like Greg Gutfeld or Dan Bongino. I feel like they kind of tend to go more in that populist direction, but that's maybe just my preference, I suppose. In raw percentages, Fox pulls in 58% of all independents watching cable news. So they're winning, while MSNBC attracts 25% and CNN gets 17%. So they're not only failing with independents and people on the right, which is obvious, I think, for CNN and MSNBC, but they're failing amongst Democrats. I mean, they're just not getting Democrats and those independents. You really need, if you're a network, you need to get those independents, because that is where, same thing with politics. If you want to win an election, you need to get the independents. And the fact that MSNBC and CNN are not getting the independents, it's instead going to Fox News, should really sort of tell them something. Should tell them that their programming, quite frankly, sucks, or that people just aren't identifying with it at all. Among total viewers identifying as Democrats, Fox pulls in 39%, while MSNBC pulls in 38%, and CNN gets 24%. This should be a wake-up call to these guys, right? I mean, this should be them saying, well, maybe our narratives are not really resonating with the American people. Maybe this whole Russia, Russia, Russia all the time, Trump, Trump, Trump all the time, the January 6th, the whatever you want to call it, the debacle, the raid, the storming of the Capitol, whatever you want to label it as. I don't label it as an insurrection. I never have. I think that's ridiculous to think that this 4-hour event with mostly, unarmed people gawking at all the sites. And so, I mean, just like the furthest thing from an insurrection, but definitely, climbing the Capitol walls, storming into the Capitol building was definitely a horrific sight to see. But I saw a lot of horrific sights during the protests in 2020 all across the country. So to me, it wasn't that, I don't know. I just didn't view it as, for one, I didn't view it as an insurrection. And 2, I didn't view it as a greater assault because it was on our nation's capital and that is a sacred place compared to mom and pop shops. I never viewed it like that. Mom and pop shops, to that is their livelihood. That is way more sacred. That is the backbone of America. That's what's sacred. The people, the American people, our communities, that's what's sacred. Not the building where all of our corrupt politicians gather together, hobnob, and act like they're doing something and then they don't. That, to me, is not the sacred building. But nonetheless, CNN and MSNBC rode that one out. They still are. acting like that was the biggest, that was like 9/11 all over again here in the United States. And it's just not resonating with people, right? I mean, people are not buying it, and that is why they're not getting the viewership. Now, with Trump, they were getting the boost in the ratings because people were very appalled by Trump's behavior, by his Twitter fingers and the things he would say. He was appalling, and Fox News wasn't covering it to the same way that CNN and MSNBC were. But those were actually appalling statements that Trump said. Now, you might have thought they were funny. You might have even agreed with them. But nonetheless, you wanted to see what crazy thing he was going to say next. And CNN and MSNBC had those crazy things. But now they're moving on into this, Russia's the big threat, which they've been talking about ad nauseum for years and years now, since 2016. We're going on, 6 years of Russia. It's not resonating with the American people. The American people don't feel like they're that threatened by Russia. American people don't even know where Ukraine is, let alone feel like they've got to do something to save Ukraine from Russia. It's just not really in the American psyche. So nonetheless, this should be a wake-up call to CNN and MSNBC. This should let them know that their messaging is not resonating. And furthermore, this should be a clue to the Democratic Party, because we all know MSNBC and CNN are just their propaganda wings. So if it's not working for CNN and MSNBC, then guess what, Dems? Guess what, Biden? It's not going to work for you either. And that should be the big lesson learned. We'll see. We'll see if they learn any lessons. So far, they haven't learned a single lesson. But maybe the midterms, when they lose all the elections, maybe that will be finally when they wake up. I don't know. We kind of thought that after Trump won in 2016, and it only made things worse. So if you like this content, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Also, be sure to join me on Locals. You could check out my Locals community. You can go there, become a member. It's free if you just want to browse around, hang out, chit-chat. Actually, I don't know if you could chit-chat if you are just browsing. You can browse around if you're not a member. If you are a member, then you can actually participate more in the community. That's the way it's set up on Locals. It's a great place. It's a fun place. I'm there. I do live streams there, post different content, and a lot of people are posting really excellent stuff there. So be sure to join my Locals community. That link is down below. And those of you not watching on Rumble, you should watch me on Rumble. I have segments that are posted there that are not posted on YouTube. They're posted on Rumble. They're posted on Rockfin. And that is where you can find them because, big tech censorship. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, email me, Kim@KimIverson.com. Thanks for being here.